I was served a court summons after my brother's wife falsely accused me of hurting her kids. My family turned on me, and my mom called me disgusting. Now the truth is out, and they're begging to reconcile. Alright, folks, before we dive into today's video, I've got a favor to ask. Our channel's been losing a bit of steam lately, and subscribing is one of the best ways you can help us out. It's quick, doesn't cost a thing, and it really helps us keep bringing you the cool stuff you love. Your support means the world to us. Let's keep this channel growing together. Thanks a ton. Now let's get into it. So, I'm going to be blunt with you guys. This story I'm about to share is going to make you mad, make you question everything you thought you knew about the legal system, and hopefully remind you why it's important to pay attention to red flags. I'm 39 now, working as a data analyst, and I've been doing my own thing for 8 years, by choice, not because I can't date. I've just opted out of the relationship drama. It's too much hassle. I'd rather blast some Metallica and hit the gym until I feel it in my shoulders, living life without anyone constantly testing my limits. This whole saga kicked off when my younger brother Derek hit the jackpot in the tech world. You could see the vultures circling a mile away. Derek's 34 and has been slugging it out in the startup trenches forever, living on ramen and dreams like a typical Silicon Valley guy. He's got full custody of his 2 kids, Eliza and Jake, after his ex-wife moved for work, so he's been juggling the single dad life while building his career. Then his blockchain company got snapped up by Microsoft for an insane amount of money, enough to retire at 34 and possibly buy an island. I wasn't jealous, though. Derek's a good guy who deserves the break. I've got my own place and savings, built up from years of hard work. But I knew what happens when an average dude suddenly starts rolling in cash. Every opportunist around sniffs it out. Derek went full-on new money, designer everything, a Tesla that costs more than a house, and a penthouse with an epic view. His choice, whatever. That's when this girl, let's call her Sophia, slid into his life. They met 6 months after his windfall. She claimed to be a freelance photographer but carried herself like she was used to luxury. Everything about her screamed high maintenance, from her hour-long makeup routine to her pricey accessories. She said she was between places while building her portfolio, but I could tell she was all about the hustle. Here's the thing with professional gold diggers, they're not your stereotypical, flashy types. The top-tier ones are smooth operators who study their marks like experiments. They're savvy about psychology, scope out their targets, and make their moves with precision. Derek was smitten from the get-go, rambling on about how she got his creative vision during family dinners. I mean, come on, the guy writes database queries and watches Netflix. I've seen enough to recognize the signs, those subtle questions about your money, the way people start asking for more once they think they've got some influence. Sophia triggered every alarm bell in my head, and I never warmed up to her, despite the rest of my family buying her act. They all thought she was wonderful, way better than Derek's ex. Even our extended family kept nudging Derek about when he'd pop the question. Sophia moved in after 2 weeks, claiming her living situation fell apart and she needed a place to crash. Funny how her photography gear was non-existent, no cameras or anything. When I asked about her work, she'd offer vague answers about lifestyle photography and branding. She started the money talk right away, dropping hints about fancy restaurants she used to hit up and how she missed her BMW, always alluding to what real men provide for their women. During Christmas dinner, I caught her checking out Derek Chen's net worth from the Microsoft deal on her phone, not even trying to hide it. When she saw me looking, she quickly switched to Instagram. That was when I knew for sure that she was a pro hunter, and Derek was her prey. I tried warning Derek more than once, but you know how it is, guys don't listen when they're getting attention from someone attractive. He kept making excuses, saying she needed time to feel secure because of past hurts. Classic. Eventually, I backed off, knowing he'd have to learn the hard way. After New Year's, Sophia started making more moves, like asking for his place's keys for convenience and access to his Amazon account for work supplies. She cornered me at Derek's New Year's bash, sweet-talking and pretending to be friendly while hinting that Derek might have to pick sides between us. Felt like a threat wrapped up in niceties. From then on, I kept a closer eye on her, seeing how she dodged questions and worked her manipulation magic. Okay, so get this, Sophia was always super dodgy about her past. She never shared stories about her family, childhood, or any past relationships. It was like she had this rule about never getting personal. Whenever anyone asked about her photography business, she'd quickly switch the topic to Derek's accomplishments instead. She had a real knack for steering conversations away from herself. Then came her money requests, which started getting more intense and well-planned. It was always these emergencies, like car repairs that just so happened to cost the same amount Derek mentioned he'd invested the week before, or a sudden medical crisis for her sister that conveniently matched his bonus. Everything was framed as urgent and emotionally loaded, needing immediate cash. By spring, she was hinting at joint bank accounts and even suggesting Derek should help her parents out with their mortgage. She'd bring it up during family dinners, and it seemed so sweet how she cared about her family's financial security, right? But most guys don't see people like Sophia coming because they don't hit you with everything at once. They chip away, slowly weaving into your life, testing boundaries, and normalizing the idea of picking up the tab for them just this once. Before you know it, one small favor turns into full access to your finances. But Derek wasn't clueless. After feeling the constant pressure, his suspicions started to kick in. One night, he came over to my place, looking completely stressed. "I think I messed up with Sophia," he admitted. He'd been keeping an eye on their spending because things felt off. Sophia always claimed poverty, yet she was constantly splurging on high-end skincare, $8 lattes every morning, and $80 weekly nail appointments. So either she was lying about being broke, or money was coming from somewhere else. I let Derek figure it out on his own and suggested he ask to see her actual photography work. She completely flipped out, accusing him of being controlling and that real artists don't perform on demand. Derek was starting to see through her facade. When I asked him what his plan was, he said he was going to confront her and demand some honest answers. Derek, having been through a tough divorce and left to raise 2 kids on his own, was in a vulnerable place when Sophia came along. She showed him attention and he really wanted to believe in it, but reality was finally breaking through. I warned him to be careful when confronting her, as people can get nasty when their scams are exposed. A couple of days later, Derek asked her the tough questions. She tried every trick, tears, playing the victim, threats to leave, but he stood his ground and asked for proof of her stories. When that didn't work, she tried blaming me, making wild accusations about me sabotaging their relationship. Derek saw through it, kicked her out, changed the locks, and cut her off. He called me afterward, shaking, apologizing for almost buying into her lies about me. I thought that was the end of it, but boy, was I wrong. 3 days after Derek threw her out, there was a knock at my door. I opened it to find 2 Child Protective Services investigators and a cop. They had papers and told me they needed to discuss some serious accusations, inappropriate conduct with Derek's kids. My mind was blown. I don't even like kids, let alone want inappropriate contact with them. I tolerate Derek's kids because they're family, and that's it. They said they'd received an anonymous tip with very detailed reports, and I needed to go to the station for questioning. This all came 72 hours after Derek cut Sophia out of his life. The accusations were scarily detailed, like someone had done their homework to make it sound legit, gifts, secret conversations, and all. But here's the kicker, they said Derek filed supporting charges based on Sophia's word. My own brother was siding with his ex and pushing for me to face charges that could land me in prison. I was dragged into this interrogation room, listening to detectives read out these insane accusations. It hit me how utterly screwed my life had become. Accusations like this are black and white, there's no middle ground. Proving innocence is near impossible. They searched my apartment, and while my neighbors watched, my whole world flipped upside down. Then came the calls, my boss, my parents. My dad was in full panic mode, yelling through the phone. I tried to explain it was all false, a setup by Sophia, but my mom didn't even let me finish. She blamed me for interfering with Derek's relationship, said I was a disgusting creep, and told me to stay away until I got my life sorted out. That's when I realized my family wasn't just failing to support me. They chose the easy lie over the uncomfortable truth because it was simpler to believe I was guilty than admit they'd been wrong. Alright, so let me tell you about this insane situation I got caught up in with my brother's ex, Sophia. Imagine watching your whole life implode right in front of you. It all started when the legal system kicked into high gear. In no time, they swooped in, took all my electronics, tore through my apartment, and even grilled my neighbors about how I'm around kids. They didn't waste any time putting me on leave from my job while they figured things out, and they hit me with a court order saying I had to stay 500 feet away from any place kids hang out. Like seriously, it's not like I'm keen on being around noisy kids. Nearly overnight, I went from a data analyst to being accused of being some kind of child predator. Why? Because I had the nerve to warn my brother about his sketchy girlfriend. The worst part? Derek, my brother, knew how manipulative Sophia could be. He'd seen her games firsthand but still chose to believe her lies over me. It was brutal. The only person who stuck by me through this mess was my buddy Big Jake. We go way back to college, and he was quick to call out the BS. He was like, "Dude, you don't even like kids. You avoid family get-togethers like the plague when they're involved. And he was right. It's not like I'm out there trying to be uncle of the year. I mean, sure, I tossed a football around with Jake's son and played some Mario Kart with Eliza, but that was it, totally innocent stuff anyone could see. The problem with false accusations is they're all about convincing strangers, not the people who actually know you. Once things got officially underway, life turned into a nightmare. I had to lawyer up with a criminal defense attorney who specializes in these kinds of cases, which meant dropping $45,000 just to get started. He warned me that this could drag on forever and cost a small fortune in the process. And, let me tell you, that court order was a disaster. I had to leave my apartment because a school was just a few blocks away. Try finding a place to live when you've got this hanging over you. I ended up in a sketchy studio, paying month to month because no decent landlord wanted to touch me with a 10-foot pole. Work was no better. HR called me in to discuss the disturbing allegations they'd heard. I tried to explain it was revenge from a spiteful ex, but they had a zero-tolerance policy. Boom, fired on the spot, no severance, no benefits. 20 years of hard work, just gone. My reputation was trashed, and my family abandoned me. My sister blocked me the second I tried to talk to her. Everyone vanished, backing away from the family child molester. And dear Eric? Played the victim card perfectly, all while helping the prosecutors. My life was on pause for 9 grueling months as they dug through everything I owned, and I mean everything. They talked to everyone I'd ever crossed paths with to find evidence that didn't exist. My lawyer laid it out for me: if I was convicted, I was looking at 15 to 30 years in prison. I was 36, I'd be out when I hit retirement age if I was lucky. The prosecution was brutal, with their 78% conviction rate in these cases. We needed solid proof of my innocence, not just to poke holes in their story. So, we gathered everything: phone records, photos, my work schedule, you name it. We talked to all the family members who'd been at any get-togethers, but Sophia was crafty. She'd set the timeline during regular family gatherings with no specific events to alibi. How do you prove you didn't do something 8 months ago at a family barbecue? And meanwhile, she was the prosecutor's star witness, playing the concerned stepmom to a T. Thank goodness Eliza and Jake were honest kids. They were interviewed over and over, and they consistently talked about normal stuff: homework help, video games, nothing inappropriate. But even with their testimony, the absence of evidence was twisted into proof of my supposed manipulation. Outside of court? Just as bad. Neighbors acted like I was radioactive. Parents would drag their kids inside as soon as I walked by. I was once reported for lingering near a playground. I was just on my way to the grocery store. Month after month, it was the same story with no progress. The prosecution kept stalling to find more evidence. My lawyer thought they knew their case was flimsy but were hoping for a miracle. And there I was, stuck, unable to work or prove my innocence, attending court battles that were a mental nightmare each time. Man, watching Sophia put on that tearful act in court was something else. She'd be dabbing her eyes, spinning her tall tales, and there was Derek, eating it all up from the gallery. But the absolute worst had to be that preliminary hearing. They read out every nasty accusation in front of about 20 people. It was brutal. There was the court reporter just typing away, linking my name to those terrible lies for the record. Through it all, Big Jake was my rock. He'd bring over groceries when facing the outside world was too much, and he even helped me with job apps when I couldn't focus. Most importantly, he never doubted me for a second. "This is just character assassination," he'd say as we lifted weights together. He reassured me the truth would come out eventually, and that tiny bit of hope kept me going, even when I was ready to accept a plea deal after 7 long months. My lawyer found some holes in Sophia's story, but nothing major. The prosecution offered me 7 years if I pleaded guilty to lesser charges, way better than potentially facing 30 years. My lawyer framed it as just a business decision, not an admission of guilt. I was seriously considering it because 7 years seemed doable compared to life behind bars. But let me tell you, the only thing that kept me going was this burning rage towards Sophia for what she put me through and the gut-wrenching disappointment in Derek. It physically hurt to think my own brother would side with that manipulative person over me. Yet, I was stubborn. Even while struggling, I was plotting my comeback. Then, out of the blue, my lawyer called with game-changing news. They'd cracked Sophia's entire digital trail. Her search history was like a how-to guide on framing someone with false accusations, from filing reports to making sure accusations stick. The bombshell came when they tracked down her roommate. After some convincing, she handed over texts of Sophia's revenge plans to get me out of the picture permanently. Her story kept changing, which was a dead giveaway she was making it up as she went. The final nail in the coffin was the timing. she filed her report right after Derek dumped her and cut the cash flow. It was crystal clear she was out to ruin me. My lawyer laid all the evidence out for the lead prosecutor, and the next morning, I finally got the call I'd been praying for. All charges were dropped. I sat in my shabby apartment, staring at the wall for 20 minutes, feeling nothing. No joy, no relief, just emptiness. It was like getting a cancer diagnosis reversed but still living with the consequences. Legally, I was in the clear, but my life was wrecked. I mean, my reputation was in tatters, and it seemed no one wanted to hire me with my legal history, cleared or not. It took me 8 grueling months to land another job, and it was a step back in my career, smaller company, 30% pay cut, basically starting over at 37. Derek had the nerve to try and patch things up with some weak apology, claiming he had to protect his kids. Yeah, no. I don't get how he could side with that gold digger over me. He tried to pull the kids miss you card, but when I asked why I couldn't see them, he said his new girlfriend was uncomfortable. So, I'm still being treated like some sort of danger. Derek wants everything to go back to normal, but some things just can't be forgiven. As for Sophia, she thought she was in the clear, probably enjoying her sweet divorce settlement money. So, I packed up and moved to a new city to start fresh. The woman I was dealing with was probably already eyeing her next wealthy target, thinking she was safe. But she was seriously mistaken. My buddy, Big Jake, was there for me, helping research all the legal options to get some real justice. He never missed a beat, always saying, "You can't let that psycho get away with this." We'd be tinkering with his Harley in his garage, and he'd remind me how much she cost me in legal fees, lost income, and a tarnished reputation. He was spot on. I found a lawyer who's a pro at suing for defamation and emotional distress. It set me back another $25,000 just for the representation, but at this point, it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about showing that her actions had real consequences. The cool thing with civil court is you don't need to prove beyond a doubt like in criminal cases. You just have to show it's likely that someone lied and caused damages. We had a ton of undeniable evidence, her browser history full of searches on filing false reports, text messages plotting to wreck my life, and a sketchy timeline showing she filed right after her breakup with Derek. Her story kept changing, too, and the prosecutor officially concluded her accusations were malicious lies. We documented every penny she cost me, $73,000 in legal fees, $180,000 in lost income, moving expenses, therapy, ruined credit scores, all totaling $340,000. But I wasn't stopping there. I wanted serious punitive damages for the emotional pain and the mess she made of my reputation. We pushed for the max amount allowed by law. The case dragged on for 18 long months. Sophia hired a pricey downtown lawyer and threw every defense in the book at us. She tried claiming she genuinely believed her accusations were based on worrying behavior patterns, thinking she was protecting kids. She even argued that criminal charges being filed made her accusations legit. None of it worked. The evidence was crystal clear that she made it all up for revenge. The big breakthrough came when we got a confession from her roommate. Under oath, this girl admitted Sophia had bragged about her plan to ruin me with fabricated child abuse allegations. Sophia was actually proud. Big Jake was there for every court session, taking notes and keeping my spirits up. The jury took 6 to 10 hours to deliberate before hitting us with a unanimous verdict, guilty on all counts of defamation, emotional distress, and abuse of legal process. The damages? We got awarded $850,000, double what we'd asked for. The judge's closing words were music to my ears. The defendant's actions were a calculated and malicious attempt to destroy an innocent person's life. And, get this, Sophia didn't have that kind of money lying around. So, we started garnishing her wages. Every paycheck she gets, 25% is gone before she even sees it. I put liens on any property she tries to buy or inherit. She tried to declare bankruptcy to dodge this debt, but nope, you can't discharge court awards for intentional wrongdoing. Thanks to Big Jake, I've tracked her financial situation. She's working in retail management, pulling in about $45,000 a year. After taxes and our legal cut, she's left with maybe $2,800 a month. Try keeping up any kind of luxurious lifestyle on that. Every time she applies for credit or a new job, our court judgment pops up, reminding everyone of what she did. But, this whole ordeal changed me. I'm way more cautious now, less trusting. Even family can turn on you in a heartbeat, as dear Eric proved. Despite being cleared, those accusations follow me around like a bad shadow. Employers still find articles about the investigation when they look me up. Even though I was vindicated and she was exposed as a liar. Dear Eric still sends cards every holiday, asking for reconciliation. He wants to put this behind us for the sake of family, but it's not that easy. I was close with his kids, Eliza and Jake, teaching them things and enjoying the role of an uncle. Losing those relationships hurts more than anything. My parents keep hinting I should forgive and forget for family unity, but it's easy for them to say. They didn't stand by me when it mattered. Knowing Sophia is facing the consequences of her actions every day gives me peace. Each time she gets paid and sees that money deducted, each rejected credit application, it's a reminder of what she did. Some folks call me vindictive, telling me to move on. But they've never had their life wrecked by lies like I did. Big Jake sums it up perfectly: you didn't just win back money, you sent a strong message to every opportunistic gold digger out there. That monthly deduction keeps Sophia reminded of that message for the next 3 decades.